The biggest story for the last 48 hours has been this sprawling indictment in Georgia of former President Donald Trump. And in hour two, as I promised, I got two of the brightest criminal defense and criminal legal minds in the country who are going to help us break down what that means. But I want to talk to the two of you as political animals, and I say that affectionately, political junkies. What, if anything, does this mean? Because we saw the former lieutenant governor of Georgia come out and just denounce Trump, saying the party needs to move away from him. We saw the governor of Georgia come out and say, no doubt about it, there was no stealing of the election in his state. And you have some strategists saying, although Trump is up right now, that this constant chaos and this constant news cycle is going to be detrimental to him in a state like Georgia and other swing states like Philadelphia and others, Michigan, where he needs to win. People are going to say, enough of the chaos. What do you make of that, Rafe?
Well, it hasn't happened so far. Basically, no matter what the chaos is, he survives in the Republican Party. His great strength is not the nation, it's his party. And his party is still behind him. There'll be a lot of complaining. Things could go south. He could lose 10, 15% among Republicans, 20%, and still far be ahead of whoever else is running. Plus, they're working on the rules in the various states of how delegates are selected, including California, to his advantage, to see if he can just make it a rout early on. There's going to be a debate, I think, in the next few days, or right around the time that he reports, not long around the different from that time. Who do you think the media is going to cover? You think they're going to cover his showing up in court or the Republican debate without Donald Trump? In that party, he's still the dominant force. I mean, it would take a lot to change that.
Well, Jamarr, he being Donald Trump is saying he may show up at the debate, the first Republican debate that's put on by Fox News next week on the 23rd. And you're right, on the 25th is the day that he has to turn himself in. Let's use the legal language here. He has to turn himself in because he's been indicted. And if he were anyone else other than who he is, which is so ironic about this, because a friend of mine reminded me, who worked on Wall Street, that Rudy Giuliani had become famous in New York of going on the floor, the trading floor of the New York Stock Exchange and some of the biggest investment banking houses when he would indict these white collar investment guys using the RICO statute. He wouldn't have them turn themselves in. He would have FBI agents, he would have, law enforcement show up on the trading floor, put handcuffs on these guys and make them do this walk to embarrass and humiliate them. So Fani hasn't done that, could have done that, obviously. But what do you think, Jamarr? Does Trump, he is showing up on Friday the 25th, and he's going to be processed like any other defendant that has been charged in a criminal case. But do you think he shows up 2 days earlier at the debate?
I think he absolutely shows up 2 days earlier, to what Rafe just mentioned, right? That he has still been seen as someone who is leading the Republican Party. Yes, you've had folks like the lieutenant governor of Georgia come out and say, we need to move on. You've had people like John Huntsman come out and say, we need to move on. You've had several senators. It's still not enough. And there's still a base that Trump has built in the party where he still has a hold on the party. And so I think that if in his front runner status, he's going to show up to that particular debate because he wants to maintain that status. But he's also got to be ready to answer some of those questions. And we'll see what from the other candidates. Are they going to hold his feet to the fire, not only about the issues, but even just about the chaos, about the indictments, right? About the lack of leadership, the lack of character. Are they willing, even 2 days before, Nikki Haley, Tim Scott, other folks, Ron DeSantis? Let's see how that goes. But I do think he shows up. Trump likes a show.
Yeah, Rafe. So we can imagine that Chris Christie, who has made the cutoff for the debate, I don't think Asa Hutchinson has made it as of yet. We don't know. We'll find out, I guess, by the end of the week. But Chris Christie will be on that stage. And Chris Christie happens to be polling pretty well right now in New Hampshire. So if anybody's going to go after Trump, it's going to be Chris Christie. What do you predict the others are going to say? Are they going to just say, oh, my God, yes, the U.S. Justice Department and every state Justice Department has been weaponized against our poor, fellow opponent here. And if I'm president, they're gonna look him in the eye and say, I'm gonna pardon you, Trump. Don't worry. I'm your man. I'm your woman. How do we handle this on the debate stage? Because he's gonna be sucking up all the oxygen. We know that.
And how do we know that he won't go and turn himself in on the 23rd, right around the same time as the debate, which basically wipes out the debate? He does not want to give Chris Christie oxygen. He doesn't have to worry about any of these other people. He doesn't have to worry that Christie's going to beat him. He has to worry that Chris Christie is not afraid of him and has nothing to lose at this point of his career. He's got no base of support anywhere in the country that anybody can see. He's the most dangerous thing to go into a heavyweight boxing match, a challenger who has nothing to lose against the champ. And he's going to swing hard. And I think Trump would do a lot to keep Christie from being the story that night. But being on the stage with him may not be the best way to do that, because he's never faced a Republican who isn't afraid of him. So I don't know quite how that, I mean, I'm from New Jersey, so I recognize all these people, these characters, Christie from Jersey, Trump from New York. It's all about dominance.
Yeah, all that
Trump is about dominance and
male toxicity, that masculine, bravado that we're going to see. You're right, though. Trump has never faced anyone like Chris Christie, because let's remind folks, Chris Christie was a lackey himself during the last Trump presidency. It is just recently that he has started attacking Trump, and he's been pretty consistent. And he's a former prosecutor, so he knows what it's like to prosecute. He knows what RICO is. He knows the seriousness of these charges. And he could be the most damaged, although, like you said, he's not going to win points with the MAGA base, but he could embarrass Trump. He could put him on the defensive, and he could make him look pretty bad on that debate stage. So Trump does have to weigh that. Does he want to give Chris Christie, as you said, that much oxygen?